Hello, and welcome to the Tuesday Night Music Show with, as always, our smiling superstar producer, Howie Darkstar. And swinging Jay Brennan from Temecula, California.
What up?
Or Pastor Jay Brennan from swinging Temecula, California, perhaps.
Same drink.
Mm-hmm. We all have the same thing in common, and that is we have been abandoned by our fearless leader, John Young, who he's kind of a legend now.
Yeah.
You know how I feel like sometimes?
He's outgrown us.
I feel like that character on that Gilligan's Island episode who had crash landed on Gilligan's Island and thought World War II was still happening, and he's still fighting the war.
Oh yeah.
Like, well, the war's over. So we don't know if any of this stuff's even being watched. They're not paying any attention. We're just still doing it. We are self-starters. We don't need others to help us decide whether or not we should be doing what we're doing or not.
We just do it.
We just do it.
And the checks keep cashing, so I don't care.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm living large. I don't know about you guys, but
I just looked at a Bentley today. Just looked at a Bentley. I mean, I'm not going to buy one. I don't have any money. I looked at it. It drove past me. I looked at it, and then I just,
I'm living this large. I buy the.
Oh my gosh!
I buy the big thing of pretzels.
You are living large.
Wow, I'm living large.
I have nothing to show you like that. I have an empty coffee that's showing you where my life is right now.
There you go.
Had a busy day. It's a busy time of year.
Truly enjoy the show, though. I truly do.
Nice.
You truly do.
Nice.
Well, I took the money that John gave us from the last pay raise, and I bought a flashlight.
All right.
Nice.
And he said it's a flashlight key ring, so it was 2 gifts in one. So I not to expect one this year.
What does your shirt say?
Oh my! Oh hell yes!
Oh, some Tom Petty action going on.
Little Tom Petty, yeah.
And the thing I love about it is I got it the Christmas after he died, and wore it shortly thereafter, and probably outside had about 6 people either give me the thumbs up or finish the line or something. And I didn't think how iconic it was till I put it on. Like, wow, I think most people know that. I mean,
well, you've had your last dance with Mary Jane.
Well, I have an idea for you.
What's that?
You should wear a party dress with that over it for Halloween.
There you go.
That would make sense. That would totally
like a tutu or something.
What? While we're on the topic, real quick, what's the most iconic song line to you, not to the general public, but a line in your head from a song that will always be there from way back in the day, let's say? Some line you heard that mine would be from Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath, Ronnie James Dio lyricist, and the line is, "You've got to bleed for the dancer." Came out in 1980, and for some reason that line locked on to my young little 16-year-old brain. And I was done. I'm like, yes, you do. I didn't know what bleeding meant. I didn't know what dancers were. I didn't know if it was a strip club thing. I didn't know if it was a ballet thing. I didn't know.
Right.
But it's one of those lines that when you're by yourself, kind of cruising around, you look around, you go, yep, you got to bleed for the dancer. And, we just have those lines in our head sometimes.
I do.
What's yours, Howie?
Mine would be from The Who. Won't Get Fooled Again. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Right. Yeah. You got to have some, Brian. I mean, yours are probably deepish. You're probably like, our friend from Paisley Park, deepish.
Well, it's funny because, now that I'm older, I think the my favorite is probably Prince from Pop Life, which is Life It Ain't Real Funky Unless It's Got That Pop. But when I was younger... it was probably from Madonna's Justify My Love. Poor is the man whose pleasures depend on the permission of another.
That's a really good line.
That's deep. Yeah.
Yeah, that is deep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the, I feel bad for those that don't understand the creative poetry and the the meaningfulness of lyric. That's what, and this is a tragedy of the generations where you don't have, you can't grab, I don't have one. Oh, you can't grab this and pick it up and pull this out and read what the lyrics are. And it's real. I think it's tragic. I think it's a lot of, I think it would still inspire people to look to books. Sebastian Bach famously said when he heard 2112 by Rush, it was based on an Ayn Rand story. And he actually went out and read the book. He's like, Rush is such a great group. They made me read a book. Like,
right.
Well, you would have to, because Neil Peart wrote most of the lyrics.
Pretty much all.
A voracious reader.
Yeah.
I mean, he was not the guy in the blue room, doing lines and drinking. He was the guy reading a book while everybody else was partying.
Right. The one that sticks in my head is the Police Synchronicity album. Where I learned all about that whole bag with the theory of relativity. And
that was a learning lesson, because I didn't know what synchronicity meant either.
Like, what the hell is this song about? And someone much smarter than me explained to me, oh, well, it's about this. I'm like, oh. So I researched it, and it's like, oh, okay. I guess I'm a little smarter now. I'm not sure how smart you get, listening to a Drake song now, but
yeah,
what's Cardi B got to spit some knowledge on us today with? It's different. It's different.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
And I don't want to turn into the grumpy old man show, but I mean, there's not a whole lot that makes me think anymore when it comes to music.
I can't. No, but bringing up Neil, one of his best lines, when you break it all down, and from one of their biggest hits, from, I think it was from Tom Sawyer Tom Sawyer. I can't. What is it? I can't pretend a stranger is a long-awaited friend. Oh no, it's from Limelight.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, that's Limelight, not Tom Sawyer. Limelight. But I can't pretend a stranger is a long-awaited friend. I mean, that's kind of impactful. Like, it's negative, but it certainly spoke to who he was in his lifetime. And I think there's a lot of nuggets of knowledge and information. I just got, Brian famously has had Sirius XM for a long time. I finally bought the bullet and got my subscription. And I also have the AirPods, and it's amazing now. I'm listening to music now more than ever, because as I walk the dog or wander the home during the day, I've got one in listening to 80s and 90s and whatever I'm listening to. And I'm clearly hearing lyrics that I used to think were great. And now I'm starting to be, some of them are a little creepy.
Yeah, that's true.
Goes, like, I mean, the outfield, it gets a little creepy when they start talking about the young girls. Even Winger, who and I'm sorry, Beavis and Butthead aside, I really like Winger. It's like, she's only 17. Like, whoa, that's illegal now.
We've talked about this, but I mean, it's supposed to be written from the perspective. Most of those songs are written from the perspective of a young man.
Exactly.
It's storytelling.
No, 100%.
It's not the lead singer who happens to be in his mid-20s singing about a 17-year-old. I mean, it's not autobiographical. If it is, it's from when they were young.
Right, 100%. 100%. But it's how we take them now with age. Now as we get older, we take them in a different respect.
Yeah, we're squares now. That's why.
I think I've done that all my life, though. It depends on the mood I'm in. Now I can hear a song and it's like, man, I love this song. The melody is fantastic. But then, oh my gosh, I've just gone through some sort of, depressing thing like breakup, or somebody died. And it's like, oh, and you're listening to the lyrics now. And now I'm like, oh, wow, that's sad. It could go either way. It depends. Am I listening to the lyrics or the melody?
I always was a melody person, and we've talked about this before. Lyrics were like a secondary thing, where it was something for the singer to do. And even Dennis DeYoung of Styx says this is how he thinks of song lyrics too. it's just something to sing. It's not necessarily always this deep, meaningful thing. And because of that phenomenon, in my lifetime, and I'm still discovering them as I go, I've misunderstood several song lyrics. And it didn't change how I felt about the song, that it was all gibberish to me, or it didn't make sense to me. Speaking of the 17 thing, I love rock and roll, the Joan Jett version, because, that's how old I am.
No. Yeah.
Sure. I saw him standing there by the record machine. I knew he must have been about 7'10". That's what I heard in my head. He was an 8-foot tall guy. He was a basketball player.
I'm going to say there's an NBA guy looking for
right.
Yeah.
He's got a contract with the Lakers,
Well, I mean,
that's what I heard.
You know the song Benny and the Jets.
Sure.
I finally read the lyrics and I was like, wait a second. What? Mohair suit?
Mohair suit.
I don't think that's what he says. He says, and there's a lot of those. And the time we did a little bit more of this as a deep dive, I love the fact that I read somewhere Seal won't publish his lyrics because he feels that you should sing what you hear.
Right.
And if he tells you what he's saying and it's different, then that's a detriment. And that's kind of a lot of video argument. Why should I put a video, give you a visual, when in your head you already have a visual for my song? If I make it a love story in the desert with a camel and a Ferrari, that may go against what you got out of the song to begin with.
Yeah.
We did a thing last night. I saw a video on TikTok, and there's a thing called, are you familiar with this, Brian? The Mandela effect.
I've heard this before.
Mandela effect is simply where you remember something one way, but it's in all actuality not that way.
Right.
And the Mandela effect that was last night was the song We Are the Champions by Queen. And the girl said, do you know the song We Are the Champions by Queen? And of course, I know that. You know it. We all know it. Does it end with Of the World? And I said in my head, yes. He says at the end of it, we are the champions of the world.
And that's it.
Right. But when I asked 6 DJs in the room, 6 DJs said, yes, it ends with we are, of the world. And then when I listened to it from the original album, it doesn't.
No, it does not.
We're champions. And
that's
there's
correct. Music. But the original, but the live version does end.
Live version does.
And the one that he did at Live Aid.
Well, it's because they cut the song short. They were doing a medley.
Yeah.
And they jumped into something else.
But I sometimes think you should be left to your own devices with lyrics. You should be left to, this is what it means. This is like, I hated when the Police released, oh, Every Breath You Take, I wrote that as a stalker. No, you didn't. No. It's about such deep love. And we're all familiar with the famous Phil Collins. I loved those myths. I loved believing that Phil Collins stood on the edge of a lake as his friend drowned, and an old man let him drown because Phil Collins can't swim. And 30 years later, Phil Collins found the man, invited him to his concert, and had him sit front row and sang that song to him and told him it was about him.
Yeah.
Only to find out that even Phil Collins was like, love the story, never happened.
Never happened. Yeah.
It almost reminds me of Meatloaf. I don't know what I'm not a fan of Meatloaf music.
I love Meatloaf music.
He's fine, but he's a little weird. But anyway.
Oh, it was definitely a little weird.
He's a little weird. But every time there's an interview, somebody asks him, whether it's Carson or Leno or whoever was interviewing him, how'd you get the name Meatloaf? And he always tells a different story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every time.
Yeah. On purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different version. Yeah.
By the way, he has a daughter, Pearl. Pearl, whatever her last name is. She is married to a guitar player from a band.
Oh, her last name is Jam, right?
No, Jam. Oddly enough, her last name is now Ian. because she is married to Scott Ian of Anthrax. So
okay.
Meatloaf is Scott Ian of Anthrax's father-in-law. And another weird one, if you're into the music I'm into, Dokken from the 80s, George Lynch, the guitarist, his daughter is married to Richie Faulkner, the guitarist for Judas Priest. This is probably where a lot of people are tuning out, isn't it?
Probably. I gave you one I gave you one like last week, didn't I?
I think people
about Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull, who his son-in-law is.
Mm-hmm.
No, you didn't, did you?
Yeah, his son-in-law is Andrew Lincoln from The Walking Dead, the actor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Sound like an episode of 6 Degrees of Separation.
Right. Full disclosure, folks, we had no plan for tonight. We're just riffing it and see what happens. So I'm sure the ratings will tank, but we thought we'd just go with it.
We're in negotiations with our agents now, so this is almost a protest. We're kind of
the writers are on strike.
Actors Guild.
The writer, yes, they are.
The whole SAG thing, and I can read the lyrics from "Low Spark of High Heel Boys." I don't know if that's.
I could tell you about my Indiana adventure.
That'd probably be worthwhile to hear, because I know that was a little bit of a stress for you. You had to go from home base out to Indiana, which from your area has got to be a 3 or 4 day drive.
No.
And do your nephew's wedding, right?
Mm-hmm.
A beautiful setup, by the way. I saw the setup in the room pre-ceremony, but the reception setup looked beautiful.
Thank you. It was pretty simple, but that's what I use for everything.
It did look good. It really did.
I love that powder-coated Pro Event table, too.
Pro Event table MB, matte black.
Oh, it's matte black, but it's a 2 series in that it separates, correct?
Yeah.
So just because the Pro Event Table 1 did not separate, but the Pro Event Table 2 does.
Yes.
But the matte black
is the 2 matte black.
That looks great, especially against the black Evolved. They look like the 30s.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's a nice look. I'm happy with it. I didn't mind the silver look, but I'm trying it,
But you know what? There's something to be said for going the dark. I've met many a DJ that looks at facades and goes, I wouldn't use white. Why not? You can light it up. It looks really cool. No. All black. Really? I mean, you guys have seen that tufted leather look in the facade with the buttons. Mm-hmm. They had them white at Expo, and I looked at them, and I'm like, hey, what do you think of that? And the DJ I was talking to was like, I'd get it in black. He's like, you can't light it up anyway. He goes, in black, totally classy. Black speakers, black stands. And I'm like, I totally get that. I'm looking at facades now, and I got to admit, I could light up a white one, but the black one would be kind of a little bit removed and everything else. So
I still backlit the black and it looked nice, but
yeah. And when I'm done with the wedding, according to Robin, I can take it home, put it up against the wall, and bang, I've got a new set for my former occupation.
Bow chicka bow bow. Yeah.
I used to be. People don't know. A lot of people don't know this, and I'm willing to disclose it here. I was a sleep model for a little while in the 80s. Front lawns, driveways, backseat of cars, bathtubs, beachfronts, casinos. I recently went back into it in Atlantic City, actually. I did a gig. I had to do a sleep model gig on
on the boardwalk one night.
On the boardwalk, yeah.
It was there.
Oh, I don't judge. You got a job. I got a job. I don't judge. Come on. I was doing 2 jobs that night. I got paid twice by the union. Once for hair model, once for sleep model.
Yeah,
I don't judge.
You did a great job. No, the Indiana trip was interesting. One thing I did that was fun, I'd never done it before, not for a wedding, but I did a dinner set of all yacht rock.
Yes, I've done it. It's awesome.
Well, the hard part was finding yacht rock songs that didn't involve affairs and cheating and stuff.
Yeah,
if you like pina coladas.
Well, yeah, but they end up back together. That's kind of nice.
Well, if you do Him, I wouldn't have done Him by Rupert Holmes.
Right. Well, I didn't want to do, I don't know. I did Steal Away just on, maybe I didn't analyze it well enough, but I did it.
What about England Dan and John Ford Coley? Like, Really Want to See You Tonight? That's just a hookup
I didn't
song.
do it. I didn't do it.
That would have been a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
I did I did like Kenny Loggins because apparently the Kenny Loggins stuff is pretty safe.
Oh,
Looked
it's
at the whole catalog.
yeah.
This Is It is fine.
Danny's song.
Whenever I Call You Friend. I mean, that's all fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But you don't want to, some you want to be careful with. You just want to be careful.
Yeah, but do we read too much into it?
I did Ambrosia. You're the Only Woman. That was nice.
That's a good one.
But you can't do How Much I Feel.
Why?
How Much I Feel? It's about the last verse of the song is literally about, hey, how's your life going? It's been a long time. I got a wife now. And sometimes when we have sex, I see your face. Okay,
that's valid.
Oh, yeah, that might not be a good one.
That's probably not. Yeah.
But see, this is where we started with lyrics.
Good call.
This is the thing. I kind of hate that when I listen to England Dan and John Ford Coley now, which I love those guys. They're very my early teen memory. But I hear just when I really want to see you tonight as a hookup, like, hey,
it is.
I know, but I don't want to think of it that way. I want to think of it as this love song that I have. Same way when I listen to Barry Manilow and people go like,
that's kind of the cool part. I was watching a show.
I want to be dumb about this. I want to hear it and be like, yeah, it's a cool breeze blowing. And like, I'm not going to force you into anything. I just want to see you. Like, I just want to leave it there. I don't want it to be like, hey, you know what? It's 3 a.m. I'm like alone. Why don't you cruise over? Like, I don't want to make it what it's not.
I was watching a show today on Netflix, or this morning, actually, before I went to bed on Netflix. And it was about, I believe it was the one about the making of the movie Elf with Will Ferrell.
Okay.
And how they strongly based everything in that movie, the costume design and everything, on the claymation animated stop motion Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Like that was the style of it.
Know it.
That they were going for.
Yeah.
And what they said about it was interesting. They said it came down to those who knew, and they got it. And those who didn't know, it didn't matter to them. Like, they weren't like, oh, they ripped it off. It's kind of the same thing with the old music. It was innuendo. It was like, my parents can hear this and they're just innocently singing along, but I'm hearing some dirty stuff.
Yeah.
That was the cool part about it.
Yeah, but in a way I played, somebody wanted old jazz for a wedding recently for dinner. And when we got to the cake cutting part, I suggested, they were very into old jazz. And I said, and knowing full well in my head what I think it's about, which I'm sure you're going to agree with, I suggested Nina Simone, Sugar in My Bowl.
Yeah.
And they went with it. Played it. And the owner of the venue is like, I love this song. I love Nina Simone. She sounds amazing. You know what this is about, though, right?
No.
Yeah.
But, Led Zeppelin would steal lyrics from Robert Johnson about, squeeze my lemon and let the juice run down my leg.
Down my leg, yeah.
At the time, you hear that, and then you hear Robert Johnson say it from, the 1920s, the 1930s, and just go, man, could they really have been that, Backdoor Man, Hoochie Coochie Man, and I kind of, as I've gotten older, I kind of want to turn that part of my brain off a little.
Why?
Because I like hearing it in an innocent way. Like hearing it as just a song.
You're too worldly to enjoy it now, huh?
No, it's just that I'm too on top of the.
You're supposed to be the cool guy who's in on the joke now.
I know I'm in the joke, but it's like I don't want to be distracted from enjoying it by going like, oh,
why would you? So are you offended?
I don't think.
Or there's just no innocence there.
I think it's the lack of innocence. I don't think it's offense. I think it's more like, oh man, don't make this. I guess because I try to hear it with those ears.
Here's the bad news.
You ever try to hear music with your old? You don't, because you're just way too.
No. But here's the bad news. All pop songs are full of innuendo, with maybe the exception of "Don't Worry, Be Happy" and "You Light Up My Life." Everything else is sexual innuendo.
Well, they announced the other day that they spoke with Harry Styles, formerly of One Direction.
Watermelon Sugar.
And he disclosed Watermelon Sugar was about a woman thing, doing a thing and an act. Yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah, obviously. But yet, Mr. Worldly Temecula Swinger DJ guy, I got taken off my feet a little bit when they said, Cake by the Ocean is about this. And I'm like, no, it's not.
I still haven't gotten that one. I don't care.
I still don't. Like,
I'm
like,
get it
I say it all the time. I'm like, maybe. So my point is, have we gotten to that level of everything has to be an innuendo? Is there just a moment where maybe they just said that?
We're just old and know better now.
I know, but
we can't be children again.
I like hearing it with those like every time I hear Benny and the Jets, I think of me riding my bike in Arlington Center by the Capitol Theater the first time I ever heard it. And it reminds me of a movie called Aloha, Bobby and Rose, because it was from that movie. And it's like, wow. And they had a Camaro, they did a whole shot, did a smoke show with it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm 14 again. No, I'm actually not.
The bummer about being older is that you are in on the joke. I mean, we are.
I don't want to know how to do the magic trick. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
I don't want to know how to do, like, don't turn around and go, I had the card here, right? No.
It's a rite of passage to know this stuff. You should be proud and honored that you know.
Oh, I know enough. Trust me, I know too much. I don't want to know. I know way too much, Brian. I know where the bodies are. I know where the empties are. I know way too much, Brian.
That night we weren't on air, but I was showing you some magic tricks, and Deb was there, and she said, "Oh, there's something," and you were like, "No, Deb, stop! I don't want to know how the magic trick's done."
Yeah, because there's got to be something left to the mind. I like knowing that there could be something I can't. I used to love reading about UFOs and like Flight 45 with the 5, World War II planes that disappeared over the Bermuda Triangle. I don't want to see people get killed or disappear, but there's something to that mystery. Maybe it's because I'm a little religious and I have beliefs and there are things that I have to have faith in. But we could talk about being like, just let me enjoy the song as it stands. If you disagree with this, Brian, I'm going to absolutely lose my ass. No, I'm going to lose my ass.
Okay.
This is how I operate with music and always have. And I think you and I are very similar in respects to how much music we take in. Like it's a 24/7 thing. I can live without food. I've gone without chewing food for 13 days. Not even did it on my head, not an issue.
I mean, quite honestly, it's less about the music I take in. It's more about the music it's music retention for me.
Well, it's retention, but you're like storing it up like there's going to be a test. Yeah, I'm not. I'm storing it up because I want it to flow over. I hear certain songs and I will always be brought back to where I heard it first or where I enjoyed it the most. I absolutely love that about music. I love that I can finish this show, close my eyes and put a song on and suddenly be transported back, not forward. I don't want music to ever make me go future. I want music to always have places in my heart and in my mind that I can go visit and be back there because I know I can't go back in time.
I know that's your bag.
But I know that is. Does that? Don't you have songs like that?
Sure.
You have moments where you hear a song and go, man, it's San Dimas, I'm 9 years old, and boom, I can smell the gasoline, I can smell the Marlboro that's smoking next to me, and it's a good feeling.
Well, here, let me just say this. I mean, I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but whenever I'm flying into Ontario or John Wayne, it doesn't matter.
Right.
After I kind of go over Phoenix and I'm over those mountains, I'll put on like Heart Dreamboat Annie, or I'll put on
perfect.
Like Jerry Rafferty Baker Street, because it brings me back to when I lived there. And I get it. It's like 100%. Totally boom. But having said that, if I think of songs like JoJo by Boss Gags, or You're the Only Woman by Ambrosia, or just a barrage of tunes.
Right.
You know what it reminds me of when I'm thinking about it? You know, the vibe I get? I'm sitting in the shop with mom wrenching on a Mustang, because that's the new association I have with it. It's not just what happened when it came out, it's what's happening now with it. That's what's so cool about it. It's not necessarily a time travel thing.
Do you still have the old memory? Can you
Sometimes the new one takes over. I mean, I remember.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I've shared this before. I remember the song I really didn't care for too much was Santana's Black Magic Woman. It was fine, but whatever.
Yeah.
And I was in Australia, and I was with this beautiful woman, and she loved that song and she played it. And now whenever I hear that song, I think of this beautiful woman. It's a new association I have with it. So music is triggers. And, you know, going back to where I was born last week, which doesn't happen a lot. And but I've been going back there my whole life, like for funerals and sick people or whatever. A Spinner song will come on the radio. It's like, yeah. You know, could it be I'm Falling in Love or I'll Be Around? It's like, of course.
Great songs.
Of course. You know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, even when I travel to shows, when I go to Indiana, where I went as a child to the Indiana State Fair, I've been to Indianapolis, been to the Speedway, been here, been there. There's something about music. Music becomes almost like clothing. Hey, where do you guys want to go today? Let's go to the beach. Well, I'm not going to wear these denim overalls and a flannel. I'm going to put on a bathing suit, maybe some flip-flops and a hat or whatever, because I need to be appropriate to what I'm doing. Music to me becomes that. As you famously know, and as I think most people know, because I've said it repeatedly, whenever I've ever traveled since 2009, I Remember by Deadmau5 is on the playlist. So every time I hear it, I'm awash of memories from different times and places. And I always tell people, find a travel song, find a couple of them, and every time you travel, play them, because it will bring that stuff back to you. You know, I can hear Undercover Angel and still head over heels in love with a girl that I never even spoke to in the backseat of a 75 Cruiser, going to Albany, New York from Boston, and being in that mindset of someday when I'm a man. Well,
you know, I've done it both ways, Jay. I've done it both ways, where I have created the soundtrack for the trip I'm about to take. And so, yeah, that's the soundtrack for the trip I'm about to take. I think the more interesting soundtrack is the one that just organically happens around me.
Yes, I agree.
That one is more fun because it's usually more about discovery.
Yeah.
Or like Black Magic Woman, it's about revisiting things you wouldn't normally revisit, but they're just happening so organically. It's just natural and right. So, yeah, I mean, music is association. You talk about memories a lot, and I don't disagree with you. It's not that. I just don't want to live in the past. And you know, I want to bring back good memories, but I don't want to think of them as, oh, but long ago when things were better. And so
no, I don't think it's that at all. I have those, you know, walking on the beach in Cancun in 1987 with headphones on and a Walkman and listening to, you know, Whitesnake and hearing the opening intro of Bad Boys and Crying in the Rain and Fahrenheit and flying out to LA in 85 on a one-way ticket on People's Express with the same Walkman, and the cassette tape was Thompson Twins Sidekicks and Quickstep, and hearing Kamikaze while I'm reading Less Than Zero by Bret Easton Ellis. Those aren't I'm living in the past, because I think it's a fine line of I want to escape where I am. It's more of, man, that was something that I enjoyed, even if I didn't enjoy it at the time.
But, you know, I think if you're going to do that, and I call it time traveling, if you're going to do that,
it's total time.
It's time traveling. You have to use that music in a certain way. If you listen to it every day, it doesn't represent that time anymore. Right. But if you hear it once in a while, or once in a great while, that's when it blows your mind. And let's wrap this back up into DJing. That's why I like to find those bizarro tracks when I'm spinning, that you don't 100%. Hear at every gig, that you aren't hearing on the classic stations, that people completely forgot about.
Right.
Throw those out there, like, oh my God, what? And it's in the lexicon because something cool happened to them while they heard that song, and then they forgot all about it. And
you want to draw that out of people. And that's I had a conversation today with my wedding and next week. I'm doing a wedding next Thursday. Like, oh, we like country. I'm like, wow, you guys are really into country. We're really not. But the venue elicits that kind of country vibe because it's a farm and it's in, this canyon. And I'm like, no, I totally get it. Well, when they said canyon, my mind went to Laurel Canyon. I'm like, wow, like the birds and Dylan and, I'm suddenly on a totally different wavelength. And I'm like, well, why don't we try this? And what about this? And I think that obviously we're really stuck on music as DJs, and we view it from a perspective of this will do that for memories. And then she discloses something about being Irish. And I'm like, yeah, I'm Irish. She goes, oh, I'm Black Irish. I'm like, well, so am I. I wear a clatter ring. That ring right there. And now a new twist has entered the fold. Her dad's from Belfast, Ireland. Bingo! Now I've got this new thing I can add. It's not like anything else in life. It's not like real estate or food or clothing. You can't say, hey, I look good in this suit and it makes me feel good. But you know what? I look good in a parka too. Well, put the parka on top of the suit. No, that looks like shit. It looks bad. But you can musically no, hear me out. You can musically take people on a journey through an event as a DJ, and there's nothing else that will do that. You can't give them one type of food at 5, another type of food at 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 12, but you can give them different forms of music, different styles of music, and at the end of the night they feel that they've experienced something because their memories are now awash with new joy in the and that's why, as much as I understand you and family members and other people look at me and say, stop listening to the old stuff, you're living in the past. No, I'm bringing it up to today sometimes. Sometimes I'm taking Low Spark or High Heel Boys and making it a today song because the memories from the past are so strong that I want to enjoy it now. I mean, the Smiths, How Soon Is Now,
sure,
will forever be me standing on the rooftop of my apartment, smoking a cigarette, drinking a can of beer, and someone playing it out their window in the middle of February in Boston, and me hearing that intro, that treble, guitar part, or tremolo guitar part, and just being absolutely blown away. Like, what is that?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
that's joyful. Like, how often do you see anything in your life today that brings joy to you immediately by the experience? To me, it's always music. I don't see a lot of new art that I go, oh my gosh, look at that.
Well, I do. I see art, and I usually see it in
but
film,
not as much as I do with music.
I see it in film and cinema. Like, film and cinema are the new music to me. Like, that's what's happening and cool to me. And that's what's interesting. And even like foreign film and stuff where they aren't using the same formulas, that's the rock and roll to me that I enjoy looking at. Now, if there's no art, I'm depressed. If there's no new art for me to discover and enjoy, I'm depressed. If I have to go back and look at old stuff all the time, it bums me out. But music, yeah. And when it comes to our particular, I guess, what word am I looking for? Our part that we play in this, perhaps the music, like, familiarity is what I feel like gets people involved. Oh, I know the song, I've heard the song,
right.
But ultimately at the end of the night, I don't want them to walk out of the room and say, wow, that was cool because I remembered everything from a long time ago. I want them to walk out of the room and say, hey, this is a brand new experience and it was fun. Because I'm mixing in that old stuff with the new stuff. So they're hearing things maybe for the first time in a new way.
It's building blocks.
In a new way, yeah.
Yeah.
It's building blocks because you're taking an established memory and adding to it.
What triggers me, and it's not you, it's me. It's not you, it's me. It's like I'm breaking up with a girlfriend here. It's that you focus so much on the memory that you had that you're so fond of, where I'm focusing on, okay, that's part of it, but it's also mixing it in with something else to create something new. And I'm not even as concerned with the memory as I am the moment. That's the sexy part to me when it's happening, you know?
See, what I was in between, I was thinking to myself, it's okay to have two memories associated with the same song.
Right.
Because I've had that said to me where, yes, they were on the rooftop and they heard Low Spark, but then I played it at this event. That's their new memory of that song. And they're like, they've actually used this term, you've transported me tonight.
Right.
And now
I don't think it has to be included
with two distinct memories.
Yeah, no, it's not. Don't misunderstand, Brian, that it's exclusive or inclusive to this song. There are those songs. I will not move forward that are stuck in time, and I'm good with that. But I think the joy of being a DJ is knowing that when you do it the right way, when you really hit your numbers, when you're on your game, you can do that by bringing people from a past joy to a new joy that then adds to that. To me, memories become building blocks.
To Howie's point,
should just keep going like this.
To Howie's point, it's reminding me of something that kind of made me laugh. I think I was probably 15 years old when Judas Priest Turbo came out, and I was in a band.
What you were laughing about?
I was in a band, and we played a lot of songs on that album, including the best we could, Turbo Lover. But we did.
And now you're going to mention what it's about.
Locked Inside Your Heart or whatever.
Yeah.
It was around the same time Alice Cooper's Constrictor came out, because we played a lot of that too.
Good album.
And
good album.
So, I mean, that's kind of where when I think of the song Turbo Lover, I'm in this dude's basement. Everybody looks like, miniature rock stars, and they got, long hair and stuff. And we're just really loud, really late at night with a drum kit.
Yep.
So fast forward to last week. I don't know. Somebody made, like, how they do those videos on YouTube where they make a new video for an old song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, my brother, he's a car guy, and he, digs chicks. He's like, man, I found this kick-ass video I need you to see. And he puts on this video of Turbo Lover. It's not sang by Rob Halford. I don't know who it was, but it sounded just like it. It was like a karaoke thing or something. And it was like a montage of hot rods and hot chicks and stuff from a year or two ago. I'm like, God, that is not Rob Halford. This is really bugging me, because I know this song. So I had to, on his thing he had on his TV, I had to find the original and play it just to kind of cleanse the palate, That night, all I did was dream that song. It wouldn't leave my head, and I woke up the next day and I said, "You mother!" So that goddamn song stuck in my head, and he laughed. That's been the joke. Every time he would say Turbo Lover or Turbo anything, he put Lover on it. I would just want to smack him.
Well,
so that's my new memory of the song.
No, there are times.
That's just to Howie's point.
Yeah, no, 100% to what happened then. No, but I think that's, I've got tracks that I find every once in a while on YouTube where I'll have a memory of remember that song, and I'll find it and I'll hear it and close my eyes and I'm right there. And you know what? There's a lot of joy in memories. There really is. There's joy with people that are gone now. To be in a car with my mom and dad who aren't with me anymore, to be young again. It's not longing to live in the past, but you know what?
Yeah, I get it.
I'm never going to be that guy that says, no, be only here in the moment. Fuck that.
If it wasn't all about copyright and stuff, I'd bring another guy in here. We'd have a fourth guy. He'd be Fred from the Howard Stern Show. And he'd be playing things like, Melissa Manchester's Memories or Little River Band's Reminiscing, perhaps in the background. I don't know. I'm just thinking this would be neat.
That would be
flag for it.
That's freshman year of high school, by the way. No, I know, and it's so funny to me because it's the one area of life that you can just you don't have to let others judge you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can close your eyes and just get away with music. I've never once gotten up in the morning where I haven't realized that the fact that I get to go do what I do as a DJ is not only to me a blessing, but it's a joy and it's an honor that I get to take some of the most amazing talent in the world and constantly give it to other people. This isn't like anything else I can think of. I can't go and grab a bunch of Van Goghs and take them somewhere and go, here they are, everyone, Van Gogh.
We're not really
certainly take
we're not musicians. We're DJs. It's kind of like we're not writers, we're librarians. We're suggesting a good book for you to read.
Exactly, Brian. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't want to dismiss what we do and make it any less. No, we're not creating music.
Librarians make bank, man.
You know what? There are a lot of great bands out there that can't create a memory on stage. I've sadly paid to see them, and they phone it in.
What a bad memory on stage.
Well, let me ask you this, Jay.
Yes, sir.
What was the last song you played at the wedding you did with the rotunda that you posted the video?
Shut Up and Dance.
Okay. Now that would be what is that? 10 years old or so? They had
not even.
I'm going to say probably
okay,
5.
but they probably have a memory associated with that. But that was the last dance at their wedding. Now they have a new memory, don't you think, of that? When they hear that song, they're probably going to think about 100%. The last dance at my wedding.
I put Aerosmith Rocks on, and the same day I got my Letterman jacket in high school for football, that came in, and I had it in my room, and I tried it on looking in the mirror, and behind me, my all-in-one stereo with the speakers at the bottom, the receiver.
You played football?
And then on top. Yeah.
Wow.
And I dropped the needle.
For that guy. But I've seen your high school picture. Yeah. Of course you played football.
I played football and
tennis
hockey.
Too?
Yeah. Not in high school, but I played a lot when I was growing up.
Yeah.
No, tennis was my jam.
Yeah.
And baseball. I played a lot of sports. My grandfather got signed by the Yankees, but went to war.
No, geez.
He got picked up by the Yankees.
Wow.
My dad played college football and baseball at Boston College.
And we're back to
so there was at least
separation.
Something. And
that's awesome.
I was playing the Rocks album, and one of the songs on Aerosmith Rocks is Home Tonight. And it's got one of the best solos as a guitar player, in my opinion, that matches the song note for note perfectly. And it's like a 3-minute song.
Your favorite song should probably be like I Want to Go Back by Eddie Money.
No, not the biggest Eddie Money fan. Even though I
go back and do it all over again.
I saw him headline over John Waite in Temecula at the Wine and Beer Festival probably like 15 years ago, and he was amazing. But the point is this.
Old Days by Chicago.
The song Home Tonight always brings me back to my bedroom growing up, trying on my Letterman jacket and hearing that song. Well, guess what? My wedding to my beautiful wife, Michelle, the very last song of my wedding was Aerosmith, Home Tonight. By design, I picked it. I told the DJ to play it. So I have both of those worlds. So now when I hear it, it's a culmination of memories. And again, I'm not here to judge or say good, bad, or indifferent how you absorb our music. But we are the curators for people's skill, talent, and expression. And I think sometimes we need to stop and say, what an honor it is that I'm given these amazing pieces of art.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
No, we're all on the same page.
Yeah,
we may differ in our things. No, I know.
But I think dwell on this, like you're there for a long time on this, and it's cool. You're passionate about it. Like you love this.
You know what? Yeah. But I know I'm not alone. I know there's others that look at this and have moments in their life where they say, I've had a bad day. You know what? That's it. I'm going to end it. And yet they somehow manage to close their eyes, put on a song, and realize, I'm not ready to go. And I think the fact that there are very
That's
few
dark.
things, it's dark, but it's realistic. And it's dark because it shows the depth of which music affects us. It shows the depth with which music can save us at the same time. And the fact that we get to do this week after week after week and create these new memories, I think it's amazing. And I think we don't always pay ourselves the compliment for the positions that we hold, and we need to be grateful. That's all.
Well, I'm going to do everybody a favor and show mercy and put a fork in the show.
Exactly what he's going to say.
There you go.
It's going to be a 7-hour show tonight.
Yeah. Good luck titling this one, kid. We'll see how you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe we'll be more prepared next week. If my brain wasn't so fried from all the stuff that I've been doing for the last week, maybe I'd have been more prepared for this. But
I think we did a good show.
It was an interesting show.
I think it was interesting because I think a lot of people in the comments, I think a lot of people will genuinely agree with what we all had to say.
It should be a case study in DJ ADHD. That's what it should be. Just show it in like psychology classes in college, and sociology classes.
If they do that, they should call it Falling Back in Love 101.
All right, and on that note,
okay,
we'll see you next week.
When I'm famous, you'll all remember this show.
Falling Back in Love with Pastor Jay. It should be the title of your book.
Oh yeah, I'm taking the hit. I'm calling my agent. Where's Izzy Iskowitz? I got to get him on the horn. Where's my phone?
We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.